Yeah. When I was 10 years old, I followed my father one Friday afternoon to the mosque to do my Friday prayers. On the way there, since the mosque was quite close to our house, we walked. And on the way there, I saw a person. This person is wearing torn clothes. His hair is all ruffled up, and he is sitting at the side of the road holding a tin can, and he is asking for money. I wanted to give him money, but before I had the chance, another person came, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not, visibly slipped a 50 ringgit note into the tin. And I put my hands in my pocket, took out the money that I had, and I only had about 2 ringgit and 50 cents. At that time, I was I spent a lot, so I didn't have a lot of money with me.
I was a spendthrift.
I was a spendthrift. Now, I had this thought process going into my mind. If I were to give him the money that I had left, would it even affect that person's life as opposed to that 50 ringgit that the previous man has given him? And that leads to my topic, which is the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is a term meaning an event or a situation that is very dependent on very minuscule changes or transformations. One of the popular metaphors that is tightly one of the popular metaphors from the butterfly effect is, as you can guess from the name, it you can imagine a butterfly flapping its wings on one side of the earth. But little did you know that that one butterfly flapping its wings harmlessly actually caused Hurricane Katrina. Hard to believe, right? But that's the butterfly effect. Now, this term was coined by Sir Edward Norton in the year 1972. And he is a meteorologist and also an entrepreneur of the chaos theory, which studies things in a small scale. But I'm not going to talk about science and mathematics and all of those boring things. I'm going to talk about how does the butterfly effect actually affect our lives, and what better way to actually look at history itself. Now, history has shown a lot of instances where the butterfly effect has made a huge impact on history. Let's start with 1906. What happened back then? Well, actually, earlier today, one of my group members from Group B, he actually made a speech about what I'm about to say. But never mind, I'll repeat it again for those who have heard me, have heard him, and I'll say it for the first time for those who haven't. Basically, what happened in 1906 was an applicant was rejected by the Institute of Fine Arts in Vienna. Let's have a guess of who this applicant was. It's a very famous person, and he is most famous in the year 1945. If anyone has a guess, raise your hands. And you, I see you have a guess.
I believe this person, question is Adolf Hitler.
That is on the spot. Adolf Hitler. Yes, not a lot of people know, but before he became a dictator, he was actually a very artistic person. He had a very brilliant mind, and he could memorize and commit things to his heart by just looking at it once. So when he went to Vienna with pocket money from his mother, he wanted to look at all the beauties of Vienna, because Vienna is one of the hubs of art and
Culture.
But one thing, something unexpected happened. He fell in love. He fell in love with the beauty and artistic value of the structures in Vienna, and so he decided that he wanted to become an artist. Since he can draw everything just by looking at it once, he thought that I'm going to get admitted at the first try. So he took the exam, and after the exam ended, after a couple of days, the results finally came out, and disappointingly, he didn't make the cut. So after being rejected once, he went back home, and at that time his mother was suffering from breast cancer. After her mother finally passed away, he set off to Vienna once again to try his luck another time at the Institute of Fine Arts in Vienna. But again, he was rejected. And at that moment, he started to become anti-Semitic. He started to hate the Jews because the evaluators that evaluated his talent were Jews. And then he entered the German army and quickly rose up the ranks and became Adolf Hitler as we know him today. Now, let's take a look at this situation. What would happen if the evaluator, the people in charge of the University of Fine Arts, the Institute of Fine Arts in Vienna, actually accepted Adolf Hitler? We would think that he would be living his days quietly drawing figure paintings. But no. Instead, he became a dictator. Just one small decision changed his whole life 180 degrees. Now let's move on to the next situation, a bit closer to our timeline. In the year 1914. At that time, there was a person. His name is Gavrilo Princip, and he is actually an agent of the Black Hand, which is an assassination organization. And his mission was to assassinate the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. There were 5 others aside from him that were assigned this task, and after the second attempt, they failed miserably. And at that time, Gavrilo Princip almost gave up. So he said, well, I think the mission's failed, so why not I just grab a sandwich at the nearby cafe? So he went to that cafe, and little did he know that Archduke Ferdinand's car would stop right in front of that cafe. The driver actually made a mistake, and upon entering that lane, he quickly stopped and tried to change gears. But at that time, cars were not as modern and as high-tech as today's cars. So when he tried to change gears quickly, the gears locked and the car couldn't move. So Gavrilo Princip saw this chance, closed the distance, and at about 1.5 meters, pulled out his gun and shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand in the head and also his wife. And this led to World War I. What if Gavrilo Princip didn't want to grab a sandwich at the nearby cafe? What if he just went back home Well, you can figure out the rest. Next up, 1945. We know that the United States of America bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki because they wanted to have to stop the war. They wanted to have an advantage. Well, actually, they didn't want to bomb Nagasaki. They wanted to bomb a region a bit north of Nagasaki, which is Kokuru. Kokuru is there is a place in Kokuru on a hill which has a munitions factory, a place where they produce gunpowder and also machines of war. So the bombers flew over Japan, but they had very strict orders to bomb only when they see the factory. But on that day, in Kokura, it was very misty. So the bombers didn't have vision, and so the munitions factory, target A, is out of the plan. So they went on to target B, which is Nagasaki. Now, proof of this is you can find a memorial for the victims of Nagasaki at the site of the former munitions factory in Kokura. And my last example, I would bring this to last year. This recently just happened on the 28th of March, 18th of March 2016. What happened is a programmer, a scriptwriter, he wrote 11 lines, just 11 lines of script, and contributed it to NPM, an open source service where people can easily take scripts that will be used for programs such as Facebook and all of the apps that you can find in your iPhones, Androids, and also computers. So what happened was, at that time he had a dispute with a private source programmer. He made a program which he named KIK, K-I-K, with a lowercase k. And the private source programmer, the closed source programmer, made a social app which is kik.com with a capital K. So they had a dispute. The private source programmer sent a lawyer to file to